Hi, my name is Gil Robertson, president of the African American Film Critics Association. We welcome you to AAFCA Celebration of Music, a spotlight on key music creatives from popular films from this award season. Today, we're very, very pleased to welcome Stephan Bray and Jason Webb from the UA releasing film, Respect. Joining us today is accomplished music journalist, Janine Coveney. I'm going to let you guys do what you do so well, and I will see you on the other side.
Welcome, gentlemen. I'm so pleased to be here on behalf of AAFCA. I want to congratulate you both on all of your fantastic achievements in the world of film and theater and record production. This is a major undertaking because the film about Aretha Franklin is heavily music-based and involved popular music that audiences already know. So when you signed on to this, for people who might not know what this role is or these roles are, what were you hired to do working with this film?
Well, I can start, and Jason, maybe you can fill in anything I forget to say, but the music producers on films are responsible for, especially for a music-driven film like this one. The brief in this case was to recreate, some of these iconic songs in their original form as to making some sort of new version or adaptation of what Aretha did. So the job for us was to examine that original music, down to the microscopic level of like, what is the guitar doing? What kind of guitar is that? Is that an electric guitar? Is that an acoustic guitar? Are there steel strings on the guitar? Are there nylon strings on the guitar? So analyzing things down to the granular level, then recreating that before the film shoots, because we have to prepare the music so that the actors, we do demos of the music so the actors can learn their parts and then perform it on stage. Like in the case of Jennifer, she is such an amazing force of nature that she was able to sing this stuff live on stage, which most singers don't do. Most vocalists they'll lip sync through the whole thing, but Jennifer's guys got to be real for her. And so during the photography portion, Jason and I are making sure that if Liesl, our amazing director, Liesl Tommy, if she says, like one day we were shooting, I think it was Think at the Fox Theater in Atlanta, and Liesl said, well, we need the band to do a play on. And we had never talked about that before. And thank God, we have people like Jason on the team who are very nimble with their fingers, and we, put together something quickly. So music producers have to be sort of ready for that kind of moment on the fly, come up with something to fill in a blank that maybe occurs to the creators at the time, on the day. And then after the fact, it's all about editing to match picture, because they pick which takes they want, and maybe those takes didn't have the best sound or something. So we've got to figure out, how to mix things to match the edit of the picture, and then there's the final mixing. So all of that. Did I miss stuff, Jason?
I mean, no. The only other thought that I had was that the headline was to honor and preserve Aretha's legacy, right, which is such an important legacy for us. Like what she was able to achieve culturally was worth preserving, and the fact that it hadn't been preserved in this way before now was such a unique and monumental opportunity. Like just to get in and be involved in that was such a joy.
So it sounds like this film, because it is so music heavy, you're pulling from a catalog, you have to reproduce in the style that it was originally recorded. This sounds very research heavy, very, I'm sure you had sleepless nights, and this was arguing about the right guitar sound, or am I wrong about that? Like, tell me about the process of working on this.
Well, for me, I'm such a music nerd anyway. It was like just heaven sent to have somebody say, okay, analyze this and do that deep dive. And yeah, there were definitely the nights you kind of wake up going, oh my God, I told them to get the wrong tuner, because that tuner didn't exist until 1971, and that scene's in 1960. You know, that literally happened. So there were other moments of like, oh, well, we were lucky enough to have Spooner Oldham and Dave Hood, who played on the original records. They were visiting us on the set the day we were shooting Never Loved a Man. And we were set up, we had the exact Wurlitzer right and the exact guitars right. We had everything right. And Spooner came over to me and he said, hey, you got the wrong guitars in the wrong hands. And because we had switched the lead and the rhythm, there's, Jimmy Johnson played the lead and Chip Moment, I think, played the rhythm. And we had them reversed. So he fixed that. He also fixed the fact that the Wurlitzer was facing the wrong way. Our little Wurlitzer electric piano that Spooner plays, he said, I always face Aretha. So we had to quickly, they caught it early. So that was, but all that stuff is sort of like candy for me. I shouldn't say this publicly as often as I do, but that was the most fun I've ever had working, and I would do it for free.
I love that. I love that. Jason, was your experience similar?
Yeah, totally. I mean, just to get into, just to have the opportunity to dive into the minutia of that time. And like Stephan is saying, like I'm also a big nerd when it comes to that stuff. So detail and those types of fixes, like those aren't even mortifying. It's like, thank God somebody caught that thing, and it's okay that we got it wrong, but glad that we got it right. Yeah, so just kind of getting as close to being in that room when it happened. That was the part that I think was the most motivating.
I should say that, and Jason knows the music, I imagine you knew it before we even went into it, but Jason knows it down to the level of like that opening strain of Never Loved a Man that the Wurlitzer plays. To this day, Jason tries to explain to me that, what is it? It's an A flat sus versus an A flat minor.
It's an A instead of an A flat. We'll talk about it later. No, no, but listen, there is a certain, like you talked earlier about, how important the detail of what guitar is this, like that choice sonically is part, like all those small choices that people labor over and decide this is what's going to resonate with the people. That specific combination of things is what moves people. And so to reverse engineer and try to create the same reaction by going back and using the same ingredients, I think that's scientifically, I guess, how you want to look at what we did. We just basically reverse engineered what moved us to begin with, finding out what made us.
And on top of it, another sort of super technical nerd version of that was the organ sound in Do Right Woman. We must have spent a week trying to figure out what is that, because it's a weird sound. There's like there's Hammond B3s and there's Vox Continentals and there's Farfisas, and we were like, it didn't sound like any of them. And then somebody said, oh, that's a Leslie with the motor turned off. And so that kind of thing. But I think we have to say though that the superpower is Jennifer Hudson, and then the team of Jason and Jennifer in the studio, because Jason knows the licks the way they're supposed to be. Aretha was very, very, she was like a sculptor, in terms of how she decided how much melisma, how much riff should there be in a particular phrase versus the essence of it. And which takes us back to what Jason was saying about singers who come up in the church or musicians who come up in the church know that it's not about them and what they can do. It's about the message that's supposed to be coming through. And I think Aretha was just so specific with her phraseology, and Jennifer is able to do it, and Jason was able to help her do it. And that really helped us maintain the kind of reverence that we really tried to have throughout the process.
The film is amazing. You talked about the scene of that Muscle Shoals scene of recreating how she put together the songs. Is one of my favorite scenes of their like tweaking and trying to come up with the right groove and everything. And again, as you noted and all the reviewers noted, Jennifer is really the engine, I think, that helps make this work, because she has this work dynamic. Was it difficult to always work with her live since she had to perform it live, or did that make things easier for you?
That is what we all wanted anyway, including Jen. Like, she knows, it's just like, it's not coming from an ego place, but a confidence place and an assurance with yourself that you are doing what you have been purposed to do. And so you just kind of walk in that season. And this was her season to take on this legacy, this incredible legacy that was Aretha Franklin. And because she comes from similar places, all she had to do was kind of walk and operate from those same places. And so getting her, actually, it's the opposite is true, where getting her to lip sync or getting her to play at was the wrong direction, and it didn't give us what we were looking for anyway. We were looking for something real and authentic, and that's what Jen brings to begin with. That's what Aretha brought. And it's a complete understanding of what the song was trying to say and the skill with which to say it. The skill with which to have the liberty to just be free with that message. Like, you listen to Aretha sing Ain't No Way, and you know where she's coming from. You know, you can kind of visualize who she's singing to. Then you cut to Jennifer singing it, and it's like they're coming from the same places, both musically and emotionally, and experientially. It's like it's almost as if they both went through the same thing and were able to articulate the same thing. And that only comes from, you know, skill meets understanding meets the opportunity, basically.
And I should say that Liesl Tommy and Tracy Scott Wilson, you know, they really helped. They kind of gave us free rein, you know, in a way that I thought was pretty amazing. They trusted us to put the music together in a way that helped them tell the story they were trying to tell. And they were very collaborative about the scenes like you're discussing, you know, the respect, how respect came together, and how the original Never Loved a Man, you know, when they were like, that's too fast, that's too slow, that's too churchy, that's too, you know, too bluesy. And it was really an amazing team working with the, you know, the four of us plus, you know, everybody, choreography, our DP Kramer, everything is quite beautiful. So it was a dream job.
That's awesome. One of the other things that I appreciated about the film in period films in general is, okay, this is a film about Aretha, but not all of the songs that we heard were Aretha songs. There were tunes that were culled to establish the time period and the mood, you know, like the Baby Loves to Bebop that a Little Ree sang at the beginning, and, you know, I'll Be Seeing You, which is a classic standard, you know, Sam Cooke, Jimi Hendrix. Were those also part of your task to pull those songs? Did you have to recreate them, or could you use the original performances?
Those are recreations. We had, you know, Liesl and Tracy were very specific about telling the story using, every song should tell part of the story. And I can't remember, we found Bebop in, I don't know, one of our Spotify journeys, I think, in the music production office. And then Nature Boy came out that way too. They wanted to have, I think we were originally going to do a Johnny Mercer song, but it was ridiculously expensive to use. And I think Nature Boy just worked out, and because they wanted the imagery of nature, they wanted the lyrics that kind of helped tell the story at that moment where Aretha was having these very earthy feelings about Ted White. And I thought that was, you know, again, they gave us free rein to pick those songs. And then of course the good folks at MGM helped clear the songs for us. But yeah, we were brought into that creative process, which was great.
And also, what a beautiful thing to not only show the results of Aretha's journey, which were the songs that she recorded, but where she came from. My Baby Likes to Bebop, and all those songs that happened early in the film. I'll Be Seeing You. You know that she didn't just come up in the church. She also had her mother at home who was schooling her on what music is and how powerful it was. And so to find songs that demonstrated the road that she traveled before she became the Aretha Franklin figure that we know now, we thought was really, really important.
And you know, a song like I'll Be Seeing You, you know, we were able, because we have Jason on the team, Jason's playing piano live while Audra, the remarkable Audra McDonald, is doing her, you know, doing the scene, and Jason's off camera, so that anything that changes, if Audra wants to take it a certain way in terms of her body movement or her tempo, Jason can respond in the, you know, on a moment to moment basis. So that made everything really, really flexible and vibrant, I think.
Awesome. And then we also have the song that Jennifer Hudson co-wrote toward the end with Carole King and Jamie Hartman. Was it a decision to have an original song? Was that important? Were you involved in that decision?
I think that's above my pay grade. I think it's sort of a given, though, that there needs to be some sort of original piece of music that and I think Jennifer wanted to honor. I mean, I think bringing Carole King in was obviously a brilliant stroke, because, you know, there's that association with Natural Woman that's there, and I thought that was a brilliant choice.
So to wrap up with the few minutes that we have left, Stephan, you've already mentioned that this was one of the most fun experiences, most rewarding. Jason, I have to assume that, you know, working with Aretha's legacy and honoring her in this way was also a high point. Were you satisfied with the end result? Is that something like you wish you could continue to tinker on, or it's done, it's out in the world, and you're moving on to the next thing?
Well, I mean, I hope I'm not revealing too much, or actually, I hope I'm not alone by saying I'm not normally super satisfied. Like doing something, it's tough to say I'm satisfied. I always want to do more. You always look at something and say, this could be a little bit better. And you could, if left to your own, I'll speak from the eye, if left to my own, like if you leave me alone in the room, I will edit something until you tell me pencils down and we're done. This is going out into the world. So I think that, yes, we worked and worked until they told us that we couldn't work anymore, because we wanted it to be as incredible as the opportunity was that we were presented with. And what a great legacy to work that hard on to make sure that you get right.
Absolutely. Stephan, what about you?
I'm in the same place. If you didn't take it away from me, I'd still be working on, you know, Papa Don't Preach from 1986. I would still trying to get that bass line just right. You know, Beethoven apparently worked 25 years on the melody to Ode, you know, from the ninth. Is that the ninth? And you probably know.
Number 5.
Dun, 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 dun.
No, the one. Ba, 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 da, da,
Oh, Ode to Joy. Uh-huh.
Yeah, he worked on that for 20 years. And so I didn't feel bad about wanting an extra couple of weeks.
So with that, gentlemen, I think we have to wrap up. I could ask you dozens more questions. I know you have many more projects in the pipeline, and I want to congratulate you on this movie that got so many great reviews and a wonderful reception. And I know we'll see more from you on film and on Broadway as well. And I'm looking forward to Broadway being widely opened up again.
Right, we all are.
This pandemic. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Janine.
All right.
Good to see you, Jason.
See you, Stephan.